Welcome, welcome to Just Minding My Business. I'm so happy that you stopped by today. And today we are joined by a guest whose career is a masterclass in resilience and high performance leadership. Blind since birth, he has never allowed obstacles to define his path. Instead, he climbed the ranks of Fortune 500 insurance company to become a top account closer and eventually a district manager where he built and led a seven-figure sales team. He is a three-time recipient of the top award for management excellence, recognized for his elite coaching and leadership skills. As a best-selling author and the founder of If I Can Do It, You Can Do It coaching, he now travels the nation helping executives, sales teams, and entrepreneurs overcome their own internal constraints to reach their goals faster and with greater clarity. Whether you're looking to sharpen your leadership or scale your business with confidence, his story provides the blueprint for turning setbacks into your greatest leverage. So please join me in welcoming the author of If I Can Do It, You Can Do It, Patrick Engasser.
Thanks
Patrick,
so much. Thanks so much for having me, Ida. It's an honor to be here.
I am so happy that you joined us today. And as I read through your bio and everything on your website, there's no excuse for any of us.
Well, we all have them, right? We all make them up, but you're right. I mean, most of that is in our head, right? So
Most
it's
of
just
it.
it's just a matter of if we're going to decide that this is going to be my story, or is your story going to be one of I've overcome all those things. It was a challenge, but I got through it. That's a
Abs-
choice we have every day.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, can you take us back to the moment when you realized that coaching and motivational speaking were your calling beyond sales?
Yeah, absolutely. So um, I I've always loved speaking in front of groups. I don't know why. I know it's kind of weird because most people hate public speaking, but even when I wasn't very good at it, the first few times I did it in high school or college, I was still like, yeah, I probably could have done a lot better, but I really enjoyed it. But I had a number of people tell me first that I needed to write a book. And, and someone tells you something the first time, you're like, you're just being nice, but I appreciate it. Thank you. And you got had someone else tell you. And then after a while, I'm like, okay, way too many people are telling me I should write a book. So I eventually did write the book, as you mentioned the name of it. If I can do it, you can do it. And I was in the insurance industry at the time. I was a different district manager for 10 years, as you talked about. Um, and I realized that I really loved the coaching aspect of working with entrepreneurs, right? Helping 1099 straight commission sales professionals who were really their own self-employed entrepreneur, how to get to the next level. I didn't love all the other parts of some of the other parts of management with it in the corporate world and the corporate structure, but I really did love working with people individually and coaching them to success. And I really loved going out to corporations and companies and training their individual salespeople and entrepreneurs, or working with entrepreneurs one-on-one. And that, as you said, happened over time. But really, I think the moment it started to click was when I was on stage speaking at a conference I'd been invited to speak at. It was an entrepreneur conference in San Diego. And I got off stage and a lady came up to me and she's like, I've been looking to start a business. It's a makeup and skincare business. And all my friends keep telling me I should do it, but I've been afraid to do it because I just think, I don't have the skills to be able to do it. And I have all these challenges that are holding me back. But after hearing your story, I just want to thank you because I just realized that if you can do everything you've done with your challenges, then I can do this too. And that's kind of where the title of the book comes from. At least that was the start, the first seed of it. And also where I started to realize that, hey, I may feel like telling my story from the perspective of if I can overcome blindness, then you can overcome what you're facing. That's a story that, maybe I feel people don't need to hear. It doesn't matter what I think. If they feel they need to hear it, and it's making an impact to people on people that I'm speaking to, then I should do more of that. And people were coming to me asking me for coaching, and at first I'm like, I don't think I'm the right fit. But God kept speaking to me over and over. And eventually you got to start listening and saying, hey, this is something I really enjoy, and clearly other people see value in what I'm doing. So maybe I should do this more on my own and actually start a business. And so that's where the kind of the first seed was planted.
Yes, yes, indeed. And you already know, God don't pick to qualify, he qualifies.
Yeah, this is true. No doubt
Yeah,
about it.
yes. And he knew that you were going to be a blessing to so many people, for sure. So, being blind, you've overcome challenges that many can't even imagine. Let me, and you've already defined it, why you are uniquely qualified, and that's because God said you was.
That's right. Yeah, and he uses us all in different ways, right?
Yes, he does.
And a lot of times it's in ways that we don't expect, or we feel like, hey, God, I don't think this is the right thing I'm supposed to be doing. But as long as we put him first, and we have faith that he's doing that, it's not us that should be getting the glory anyway, it's him. Then if that's our focus, then just be that pencil in his hand, which sometimes is challenging to let go and do that. But as long as you're doing the work and it's the right work and you're trusting in him, then good things happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You definitely don't need to see the full road. You just need to walk it.
You, you got it.
For sure. So you've built and led seven-figure sales teams. How do you incorporate that experience into coaching people to overcome the mental blocks that keep them from becoming top performers?
Yeah, so I work with a lot of, great question. I work with a lot of sales teams now around the country that I coach, mostly virtually on Zoom, but I also do fly to a handful of them, and I'm in Destin, Florida now, so I have a few companies that I coach their sales team here locally. And whenever I'm doing a sales training, whether that be, just a one-time workshop, half day or full day workshop, or if I'm doing, as I do with most of them, ongoing training, because you and I both know you'll relate to this, is you can be told something once. You can have a great seminar you go to, you can have a great speaker come in. I've had many times where someone's really spoken to me in terms of what they've said from the front of the room, and I'm like, oh, I got to start doing that. And you're fired up, and for a week or two, that really has an effect on you. But after a couple of weeks, you go back to your old habits, right? So I really do believe ongoing coaching and training is so valuable because it's a reminder, and you keep revisiting those same habits that you need to change and upgrade until those things happen, and that shift happens for you over time. So ongoing is the best way, but no matter how I'm delivering that message, as you just said, the first thing that we focus on is attitude and mindset, because you can have all the sales strategies and tactics in the world. If you don't believe it's possible, if you don't have a why or a goal that you're focusing on, and then you don't have the mindset that you're a positive mindset that you're feeding. And I know it sounds like a cliche, oh yeah, have a positive mindset. But really, if you go into every day with a negative mindset of this isn't going to happen, and I'm not going to have success, and they're going to give me an objection that I don't know the answer to, you're going to fail eventually simply because you believe that's the case. So it's really reshaping the mind, and really is really changing how you think and upgrading your thinking, and doing that on a daily basis. You can't just do it once. As you know, it's like brushing your teeth. If you do it once a month or once a year, it's probably not going to be good for your dental health, right? But if you're doing it every day, once or twice a day, and continuously feeding your brain something positive, the rest is going to follow. And then after that, it's just repetition. You can teach anyone the strategies. Some people will take a little bit longer because they don't have any sales background, or they don't, they may not be a great speaker. But I truly believe you can train if you have enough time and someone who's willing and has an I will mentality, right? I always say, I'll take a high I will over a high IQ any day of the week. My business coach always says that, and I love that one. Because it's just, if somebody really has the desire that we're going to succeed, I'm going to do this and figure it out, It may take a little bit longer if they don't have a background in sales or in marketing or in entrepreneurship, but we can get them there if they're working with someone who knows the right strategy. So the strategies can be taught, right? The tactics can be taught. The scripts, if there is a kind of a blueprint script for how to sell a product that that person believes in, all those things can be done, but the mindset has to come first. And a lot of times that's just getting out of our own way, getting out of our head, and then realizing that we have to get out of the comfort zone. We got to take a step
Mhm.
forward into the effective zone, which means doing some things that we're probably not going to love doing in the beginning until we get good at it. And you have to be willing to do it average or below average or not do it well in the beginning until you do it enough and have enough reps to get enough repetitions doing it to get good at it. And I think the big one is stepping out of the comfort zone. Nobody wants to do it, but yet if you think back on all of your best experiences in life where you're like, hey, this was my greatest accomplishment or one of my best accomplishments, or a time when God really moved in your life and seemed to knock down barriers, chances are you were moving and you were doing something you were a little uncomfortable with,
Mhm.
right? That time that you met that special someone who, you're dating, you're married to, whatever the case may be. Probably you took a leap of faith and you had a conversation that you might have been a little uncomfortable with. You might have, gone out and done something that was surprising to you. And you're like, wow, something really great can't happen from that. So a lot of it is getting out of your comfort zone. I always say your comfort zone is the most expensive place for you to live that you're ever going to live, right? It feels good to stay there because there's a perception that there's not danger there. It's what we're familiar with. The brain loves familiarity, but getting outside of that comfort zone is usually where the magic is going to happen, so to speak. So that's what I work
Absolutely.
on with sales teams and sales reps a lot.
Absolutely. That old saying goes, everything you want is on the other side of your comfort zone.
Yeah, 100%. 100%, my friend.
Indeed. So, your book, If I Can Do It, You Can Do It. What will readers take away from that book?
I think the biggest thing they'll take away is if, you know, I'm obviously kind of trying to be funny here, but if a blind guy from Buffalo, New York can make it, then you can make it. Whatever it is that is your greatest challenge. I'm not saying that there aren't people listening right now who haven't had far greater challenges than I have. My guess is there probably is. But I think a lot of people, we all have challenges, right? We all have challenges we deal with. We all have adversity. I always say the one thing that I know about you, no matter who you are, when I meet someone or when I'm speaking in front of a group, is uh, you've been through adversity, right? Everybody has. Doesn't matter what your background is, doesn't matter if you're male, female, the color of your skin, what country you're from, it doesn't, what language you speak is your native language, it doesn't matter. You're going to face adversity, and if you're over the age of 5, you probably already have, right? And probably even my 3-year-old son would tell you if he knew what adversity could explain adversity, he'd be like, yeah, I've had that in my life. So everybody has had adversity. The question is, how do you respond to it? A lot of people would, for the most part, a lot of our challenges are internal in terms of it's a battle we're having within our mind or within ourselves to overcome some shortcoming. And in many cases, it's a shortcoming that we've created in our mind or someone who's seeded into our life early on, right? Maybe in our childhood, someone told us we weren't good at something, or we had an experience that got us to believe we weren't good at something. Someone gets up in front of the room, they have a bad experience public speaking. A group of people laughed at them. And after that, they're like, I stink at public speaking. I'm never doing that again willingly. But they might not be. It's just they were 8 years old at the time. They were in third grade and they didn't know how to public speak. Maybe they're really good at it. And so, or maybe they could be really good at it if they learn, and then they would, if they had people clap for them the next time and take something away and say that made an impact on me, then maybe they'd like it. They just didn't like it when they were 8 and they got laughed at. So a lot of times we have these barriers or these obstacles created in our brain by someone else or by an experience we've had early on in life that shapes our belief about that or about ourselves, and we need to remove those. So in terms of my book, my challenges are different, and as a blind man than a lot of people, as someone who doesn't have physical sight than a lot of people out there. But because of the fact that it's so physically obvious, if I when I walk in the room with a guide dog or I walk in the room with a white mobility cane, everybody knows, hey, that guy's blind. So my obstacles or challenges are very visible. And for that reason, I think someone reads my book and goes, oh, this person's blind. They've been through a lot of challenges. So if they can overcome, if he can overcome his challenges, then the things I'm dealing with in my life that may not be so outwardly obvious, I can overcome those too. That's the whole message of the book. There's a lot of other, different tips in the book that have helped me to be successful, overcome obstacles, eliminate the excuses in my life, because we all make excuses. Our brain will give us lots of excuses if we'll listen, if we'll allow that to define us and be our defining story. How do we eliminate those? How do we start, one example, how do we start the day on a positive note and feed our brain? I call it breakfast for your brain. Feed my brain something positive first thing in the morning. We eat good, healthy breakfast. We know that we're supposed to eat something healthy for our body, but we're not feeding our brain something positive in many cases. Am I being intentional about how I'm starting my day? Am I doing the hardest thing first? Because then the rest of the day either becomes a lot easier or is really positive if that hardest thing gets knocked down as an obstacle, and now all good things are happening after we get that first thing out of the way. So those are all tips you'll get, but I think the biggest thing that people take away from the book is building a great foundation of integrity, doing the right thing, even when it's not easy. And I think the other thing that they'll get is that if I can do it, you can do it, which is where the whole title of the book comes from.
Absolutely, absolutely. Oh, wow. So how do people get the book?
So they can get it on Amazon. You can go on, type in my name, and or if I can do it, you can do it, Patrick, and it'll pop right up, Patrick Engasser, Engasser. Or you can go to my website, patrickengasser.com. That's another way to get it as well.
Yes, yes. And how do people engage in your coaching?
Sure. So there's a few ways. If anyone is an event coordinator or they are looking to do I do sales training and development, like I talked about earlier, where we have built a training and development program for your sales organization, as well as ongoing coaching being built into that, as well as leadership training and development is another thing I do. So anyone out there who's like, hey, I really would like to bring in someone who can help with building our leadership team, creating a culture of winning within our leadership team, or within our sales team, sales organization. Those are the types of things I do, as well as motivational keynote speaking for conferences and things like that. All that you can find at Patrick Engasser, Engasser.com. But if you are interested in doing a free strategy session, and I don't offer the free for everybody, but for your listeners, it'll be free. So if you just put when you respond to my executive assistant, Jana, when she emails you, when you set it up, just let her know that you come from Ida's podcast, and it'll be free for you. We'll waive the fee on that. And that is a strategy session at talkwithpatrick.com. So you go to talkwithpatrick.com, and that has all the info right there, as well as my calendar that you can book onto. And just let Jana know that you came from you're a friend of Ida's, you came from her podcast, and we'll get you set up with a strategy session on how I can help you. And it may or may not be a fit. In many cases, in most cases, it is. Certainly with people who listen to your podcast, it probably will be in most cases, but I don't know that until we do a strategy session. But at the very least, they'll leave with a written game plan on here's an action plan on this is my goal, here's where I want to go, and we'll get you an action plan set up on how to get from where you are to where you want to go.
Wow. Well, I appreciate that, Patrick, and I
You
might
bet.
be the first one to sign up.
Let's do it. Let's do it. I love it.
For sure. Definitely appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
So, how does your own journey of overcoming adversity influence how you coach others through their limited beliefs?
I think I have a unique perspective on solving problems because I've been doing it from such a young age. And look, we all do that, right? We all have challenges that we solve every day, but you don't really think of it that way. But for me, being born blind, born without physical sight, from something as simple as learning how to tie my shoes, how to cut my food without being able to see it, how to pour a drink without spilling it, without being able to see it, how to put the toothpaste on the toothbrush without being able to see it. All of those things are things that I've done, had to learn how to do without watching someone else do it. So it was never as simple as, hey, watch mommy tie her shoes. This is how you do it. Now mirror what I'm doing, right? That was never something I could do. So I've learned to overcome these simple 3-year-old, 2-year-old, 4-year-old everyday challenges as a child. And that skill, that kind of finding a creative outside the box, think differently kind of mentality is something that at the time I probably would have said you're crazy if I would have said that was a strength. I'm like this when I was a young child, I'm like, why are things more difficult for me? But over time I started to realize the light bulb went off that God was preparing me to be a coach that had this unique ability because I had simply lived it. And so when I'm coaching entrepreneurs today, it's not as simple as the 2-year-old problem of how do I brush my teeth without seeing the toothbrush and putting the toothpaste on. Now it's, hey, I want to scale my business. I want to 10x instead of 2x my business. How do I have that mentality? And then who do I need to bring in and bring on board as an entrepreneur to help me get from where I am to where I want to go so that I'm not doing all the work, right? How do I shift my focus to really focusing on the 10 or 20% of my business that is what I call your core genius, which means this is where you're the best. And it doesn't make any sense to hire someone else to do this part because this is the part that you excel at. It's your Benjamin Hardy and Dan Sullivan call it your unique ability. And I love that. It's your unique ability. It's a thing you do better than most, if not anybody else. And the other 70, 80% we either eliminate if it's not necessary, we automate it. If with AI or other forms of technology that's possible, or we delegate it. We bring somebody on who has a unique ability that's better than you in that area and they can take that away. So how do we pass on the 10 or 20 or $30 an hour work to someone else so that you can be doing 100, $500,000, whatever it is, hour work that you should be focused on all the time, freeing up more of your time. Those are the types of conversations I'm having now instead of how do we how do we put the toothpaste on the toothbrush? But it comes from that same, I believe, truly that it was born from that struggle early on that I had to find unique ways around that now when someone comes to me with a more of a level 10 problem in their business or challenge, I'm able to help them find a unique way around that and see past that obstacle, so to speak.
Yes, yes, indeed. And as you were talking about that, I was thinking, I think in Matthew's, I can't call what chapter it was, but I think one of the guys wanted to be healed by Jesus,
Yep.
and he wouldn't heal him because he wanted him to demonstrate with his disability
Yep.
and use the gospel with his disability.
Yep.
And you made me think of that.
Well, thank you. Well, that's quite a compliment. Thank you. But that's part of it is that, right? That we don't know how God's going to use us. We just have to listen and walk with Him and have faith that He's going to guide our footsteps, like a lamp to our feet, and just everyone's going to share something different. He's going to use us as a pencil in His hand in a different way for each of us. Like in the case of the story that you mentioned, all these people, and that person at the time was probably like, you're healing all these other people, Jesus, but you're
Yes.
not going to heal me. Like, that's not fair. That's not right. But
Yes.
Jesus knew that, hey, God's going to use you through the challenges that you have to shape other people's lives and make an impact on other people. You're better. You may not see it this way, but you're better for the kingdom as the person that you are right now than if I were to change you.
Yes. And that's
But he has
exactly
that foresight, right? The person didn't. I wouldn't have.
right.
That was that person. But you question a lot of things like why is it the way that it is? But as you mentioned earlier, we don't have to see the whole road. Sometimes, most of the time, we're getting this tiny little snapshot from here to here where God can see the whole picture. And that's the part that we're missing. And all that other context is usually where the answer is, right? Unfortunately for us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. For sure. Wow. Patrick, you are such a pleasure to talk to.
Thank you.
You
This has
really
been a real
are.
blessing. I appreciate you having me on.
I appreciate you being here for sure. So, again, how do people get the book and how do they get into your coaching programs?
Yep. So they can go for any speaking engagement. they can go to patrickengasser.com. Also, that's where you can get the book, or you can just get the book on Amazon. Sometimes that's easier. Um, if I can do it, you can do it. Inspiration for eliminating excuses, overcoming challenges, and succeeding in business and life. That's the subtitle of the book. But if you just put in my name and if I can do it, you can do it, you're good to go. And then you can also set up a free strategy session at talkwithpatrick.com. It's real simple. Just so you don't have to spell my last name. I made it simple. Talkwithpatrick.com. And there you have access to set up a time on my calendar. And John will reach out to you. My team will reach out to you, and we'll get something set up where we can get you on the calendar, find out what your goal is. The only thing I ask is you come with a goal, right? If you come on and say, I don't know what to do with my life, I have no idea of what direction I am, the only question I would ask is, have you sat down and really looked at where you want to go? And then really brainstormed and sat down with a blank sheet of paper and said, hey, if money wasn't an issue, or if all these other challenges weren't an issue, what would I want to do? What do I believe my purpose is? At least so you have a starting point. Because once we have that starting point, then on that strategy session, we can start moving the ball in the right direction, which is, writing those goals down. Studies show, there are multiple studies that show this. The number can vary a little bit, but the number I've seen more often than any other is 42%. You're 42% more likely to reach your goals if you write them down. That one simple step of actually crystallizing it on a piece of paper, whether that's Braille paper in my case or just writing it out with a pen in your case, that significantly increases your chance. It's a commitment to your subconscious mind that we're going to do this, whatever it is. And then it goes up even more than that, the percentages, if you keep that in front of you and read it every day, or you create a picture, just something I talk about in my book, that the brain thinks about and thinks in pictures, visualizes. So sounds silly, probably come funny coming from me, but that is how even my brain thinks. It might not be my picture, might not be the same as yours, but my brain still thinks in pictures, right? If I hear red door, my brain doesn't picture the Braille letters DOOR, it pictures a door, right? With a handle and windows and all that. So can you put something visual in front of yourself? So like, can you tape a picture in front of your computer on your computer screen? Or of where that represents your goal or your why to you? Can you put it in a picture frame above where you work every day so you see that? Those are the types of exercises that I help people with, but it starts with writing down that goal statement, and that's what we would work on. So talkwithpatrick.com is the easiest way to start that process.
All righty now. So I have one last question for
Of
you.
course.
What's one story from your journey, either in sales or as a speaker, that still inspires you today?
I have a bunch of them, but I'd say that, one of the biggest is I had somebody come to me who really was not, said, I'm not a salesperson. This isn't really, I don't really like selling because selling is, I feel like I'm manipulating people to do something that they don't want to do, but I really do love the industry. And so I love the industry I'm in. This person was in plumbing. They were doing kind of sewer sales where they take the camera and they go down and scope the sewer and basically I'm probably messing up the technology. The plumbers on the call are laughing at me. Um, that's okay. But it's high ticket plumbing sales where they actually, the goal is, hey, we're going to create a permanent fix for this so that this problem that happened, this challenge doesn't happen again. And he felt like, I just don't want to sell people because I feel like I'm pushing people to do something that they don't want to do. And so we had a long conversation, first coaching conversation. I said, do you believe in what you do in terms of the work that you do and the work that your company does? Yes. Do you believe that the company is doing the right thing and that you have a good service you're providing? Yes, I believe that. Okay. So do you believe all the other companies out there are doing the right thing? And he laughed. He's like, no, I don't. Some are, but many are not. So you believe that if someone goes to another company because you didn't sell them properly and you didn't guide them through that process to help them solve their problem, do you believe they're better off or worse off? And that's where he kind of went, I get what you're saying. So he realized then that he wasn't actually doing people a service by a positive by not selling them something he believed in, he was actually doing them a disservice because he was trying to help them. He was trying to not push them. And I'm not saying in sales you need to push people, but we really want to guide people through that process. This is one of the things I help sales teams do. But just that one thing that I shared and then handling a few different objections he was having a tough time with. Super smart guy, by the way. I had no doubt this guy was going to turn his career around. He didn't need me. He just needed me to show him. He didn't need me to give him all the tools. He just needed me to show him that he was doing the right thing and then give him a couple of things, just a few tools that could change the game. He went from like a 23%, 22 or 23% close rate to over 45% in a 9 month period of time. So in less than a year, changed everything, significantly increased, almost doubled his income in less than a year, and went from the lowest close rate on the team to being one of the top closers in the entire area of that state. So, now he goes to conferences and people come up to him and ask him, what do you do? When before he was the guy like, I don't want to be in sales. I don't think this is where I should be. Just total transformation. And he gives me incorrectly, in my opinion, but I'm humbled by it. He gives me the credit for it. But all I really did was help him shift his mindset and see things differently, that he was actually helping people by moving them to action and guiding them through the process, not hurting them. And number two, just giving him a couple of strategies, changing a few questions he was asking or adding in questions where he wasn't asking them to get that person to say, oh, you're right. We're better off doing a long-term solution than putting a band-aid on this that's going to be a bigger problem in 6 months or a year. It changed his whole career. So that for me, I love when I'm able to be a part, even if it's a small part of someone's testimonial. And it's like, hey, they were able to change their life and the future of their family and hopefully their family tree and their legacy because of a few changes they made and upgrades they made. But, the beauty of his story is he was willing. He was really willing. He wanted to be better and he wanted to make those upgrades. And he was willing to invest in his business and in his sales career by hiring a coach. No one else on his team was hiring a coach. And so most of them are right where they were 2 years ago before we started working together. And he's went from behind all of them to in front of all of them because he was willing to make that investment. So I love that story. It always, every time I think about it, it makes me smile.
Well, that's something to smile about. That it always makes you, I know in what I do, when people comment or they go back a year later and
Yep.
listen to an interview that I did, it
Hmm.
makes everything that I do so well worth it.
I
So
totally understand that. Yeah. And it's seeing that it's, as you know, it's being a part of other people's successes and you getting some benefit from it, but really it's just knowing that you gave them a piece of something that made a difference. To me is more rewarding than I always say I'd rather giving someone a tool that helped them close a sale that made a difference for them and the prospect and the new customer is way better than closing the sale myself. I
absolutely,
get way more joy out of that.
absolutely. Well, Patrick, I am so happy that you said yes and came here today because you've made a difference not only in my life, but I'm sure our listeners and viewers are going to feel the same way.
Well, you're
Because if
very
you
kind.
can
Thank you.
do it, I can do it.
You got it. Well, I'm grateful you asked me the question, so I had the chance to say yes. So thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. And audience, thank you so much. And we will definitely do this again, Patrick.
I hope so. Let's do it.
Absolutely.